Hello, my name is Gabriel and welcome to this tutorial explaining you how to generate sales contract and other forms needed in your sales process. Basically, Tracx will generate for you the sales contract, the sales certificate with all the information completed for you, the bill of lading, and the warranty form explaining all the details about the warranty offered by your dealership. Before we start generating those documents, first thing you have to know is there is more information or new information to be completed in the quote. So the first one is the tax checkbox. You used to have it in the finance tab in your quote, but starting now you'll have it at your main tab. So you have tax indicator here for each of your equipment that you will add to your quote, as well as for each of your trade-in. The tax box is included in trade-in identification box. Then if you go in the financing tab, you still have the taxable information as you used to work with previously. So you have it for each of your trade-in as well. But what you have more is two more boxes to fill in the contract fees as well as the tire fees there. So and same thing with the taxable box to indicate if those fees are taxable or not. And you still have the miscellaneous to finance, any other fees that you would like to include in your sales contract. But basically, since you have the contract fees and tire fees, you shouldn't use this box very often. Financing scenario, you have to choose the main scenario that is chosen by your customer. The important information here is the type of contract. A financing scenario, is it a lease or loan? That will impact directly what kind of forms and which information we'll put in those forms, as well as the adjustment cash down. So this box indicate how much customer wants to put on top and above of his trade-in net allowance. Now I'll show you what will be the impact when you create a new quote. So I start with a new quote. I will add a new equipment, kind of equipment, it doesn't matter. So let's say a mower, for example. You will have a new box here with a different color, orange color. That means that you have to take action. It doesn't mean that it's unchecked. The way it works is if you click once, it will click it. So it will indicate that this equipment is taxable. If I click it again, so it will indicate that this equipment is non-taxable. So, and it's the same thing with the trade-in. So if I add a trade-in, I'll just put information in there. You will have the taxable box here in orange. If I try to save, it will tell me that all the place where I need to put the tax, I have to check the tax box, okay? So you'll see that your trade-in is included. So I'll click here. If I save again, I have two more places where I have to go through. It's in the financing tab. It's really important. Here, the tire fees, you have to indicate if it's taxable or not, because most of the time the tire fees are linked to the equipment. If the equipment is taxable, you will tax the tire fees as well. If not, it will be untaxable. And same thing with your miscellaneous, but whatever you don't have, you can just click it as taxable and you're good to go, you can save. So you don't have to put an amount right now. The point is just indicate right now if it's taxable and it will follow the logic of your equipment. And that's it. Now we have information about the tax put. So if I add a new equipment, I will still have my orange box here that I will have to fill in. Another new thing is in the financing scenario. If I go back to my example here where I have information already filled in, you will see that in the financing scenario now, you have a new button just to indicate which scenario your customer is going to choose. So the one in green is the one that is selected. If I want to change, I just click the other line and I click here and this new line is in green. So if I save, so Tracx starting now will consider that your deal will be done on a lease and will complete all the form. This is a recap of the information needed. Make sure that Tracx complete the forms correctly. First, for each of your equipments, is it taxable or not? Same thing for the trade-ins. On the other hand, on the financing tab, is it a cash deal? It just mean that you don't have any finance scenario in Tracx, and that doesn't mean that your customer will not finance somewhere else. So if he finance anywhere else in one of his banks, for the dealership is considered as a cash deal. But if you finance with John Deere Credit, you have to indicate if it's a loan or a lease. And then you will indicate if the customer is registered to tax or not. We have not seen that yet, but I will go through just right after it. So you will see it's really easy, but you will have two different contracts depending if the customer is registered or not. You already have two different contracts. It's just that maybe most of you just use one of those forms, but starting now you will be able to have the right contract depending of the customer. And finally, all of that will give you the right printing forms. Now I'll show you how to generate those forms. So if I go back to my example here, before I generate it, I just want to go through the information in this example, just make sure that you understand how those forms are created. So you'll see that we have 4 equipments here, 4 equipment taxable. The warranty box here, you won't use it. So I know that here there's an amount, it's just an example. But since you sell your warranty with the equipment, so it's included in the equipment price, the warranty will be taxable or not depending of the equipment, and that's it. I won't go through all the boxes in this tab since this is not the purpose of this training, but I just want to note that for the trade-in you still have the taxable box, but you have the payout in the lease box as you had it previously. The point is really important now to complete it, to make sure that your sales contract, once again, you got the right information. So in this example, the 2 trade-ins are on lease for the customer, but he will, I will click loan here. So he will buy his new equipment and finance it by a loan. And you can see that you have $200 of contract fees and tire fees taxable and some other fees here, $500. So you have 2 new buttons at the top in the ribbon. So the sales contract and the bill of lading. So I'll start with the sales contract. You got a new box here that will open. First, you have to choose which contract you want to print. So if it's a Quebec French contract, Ontario, you have the French or the English one. So let's say that I choose the Ontario English one. And now you have this box still in orange. That means that you have to click it. So tax registered. So it's for the customer. So is the customer is registered to the tax or not? If I click, first uncheck it, and if I check it, it's customer registered. Let's say any customer that buys, for example, a lawn tractor for himself and has no business, most of the time will be not registered to the taxes. And if I re-click it, for any other companies, for example, it has to be registered to the tax most of the time. And then if I click preview, here's the form. I'm just going to increase the size a little bit. So you got all the information, the usual information that you have on your contract. So the header, the contract number is your quote number. So it will be always a unique number here. The information about the customer, all the information about the equipments. One important thing is you can see that here joystick 3 functions, SCV, stop flasher. It's all information included in the free description in your quote. So it's the same one that you can have on your customer proposal. So it's really important to put a lot of details on your equipment. Make sure that the customer knows what he buy. So you can put all information you need here. It's going to appear in the contract. And the warranty, if you put the information, the warranty box in the quote, it will appear here. So warranty, you don't have to into the description write warranty, just put the description as 5 years, 1,000 hours, and on the sales contract it will appear like that. So you have the tag, serial numbers, sales amount, and all the details of the sale here. So the purchase amount, the taxes, Here you can note that you have no trade-in value since the trade-in equipment are financed by a lease to the customer. So that means that the customer doesn't own his equipment, and you will see that we have the certificate of sales generated automatically. On the other hand, you'll see that at the bottom here you have a total cash payment of $20,000. It's because this is the equity that the customer has on his trade-in. So since it's a lease, we cannot pay the taxes to the customer because he had paid the tax only on the monthly payment in this scenario. But he has equity, and this equity in this contract is considered like a cash, directly a cash on the deal. I won't go through all the possibilities about the taxes and the sales contract. Just ask to your manager to help you if you need. But this is just an example to show you that Tracx will consider the information on the quote to generate the document and the amount at the right place on those. If I continue, you'll see that you have the back of the contract generated. Here, the certificate of sales with the date, with the trade-in here. One other important thing is the serial number here comes from the use trade-in form. So you really have to complete it. So you use form to make sure that you put the serial number at the right place. I just sent an email showing you that there's a new box in the header of your use receipt form. So you have to put the serial number there to make sure that it appears on all the contracts. In this case, we don't pay taxes for all the reason already explained. So no taxes here, but you have the amount, total amount of these two trade-ins. You will have your dealer. You will have here the information about the customer and the amount of due on this payout for his lease. So everything is already there. You just need to sign it, and the certificate of warranty explaining all the characteristic of the warranty offered by your dealership with all the equipment already filled in. So if I close it, the other button here is your bill of lading. And if I open here, you'll have exactly the same form that you used to work with. So except that the information is already filled in. One other important thing here is the address, is the customer address, main address that you have in your business system. If you don't deliver the equipment at this place, just make sure that you just you just write down the right information. Maybe you just can write it down just next to, or you always have manual form if you need it. But for now, you only have the main address. Most of the time, this is the right address, but just note that this information has to be correct depending on your situation. You have the equipment here, description, tags, serial number, trade-ins, everything is there, ready to sign. Finally, one last thing that I want to clarify is here, when I press the sales contract and I got this box, if I still check Ontario English and whatever it's customer register or not, one important thing is you got two buttons here, the preview and the print button. Most of the time in all the screens in Tracx, when you click preview, you got the preview screen and then you have the button to do print. It's the same thing here. But if you want to print the sales contracts, you have some forms in letter, legal format, and some other in little format. And the sales contract has to be printed on two sides. You have to click print. By clicking print, it will send the information correctly on your printer to make sure that each form is printed on the right side and the right format, and on two sides is when it's needed. So if I click print, you will have the choice to click on the right printer. Most of the time for you, it's your default printer in your store. And if I click here to preference, you'll see that mine is already two-sided printing by default. If you are not two-sided printing by default, just ask your IT guys to make sure that it's two-sided printing. It's really important. If it's not, just click it and select two-sided printing. Make sure that your sales contract will be generated with the all legal text at the back of the main page. And then if you want 2 copies, once for you and once for the customer, just add it here and then you click print and you'll get your forms printed correctly on your default printer. Thank you very much for your time, and as usual, if you have any comments and suggestions, just let me know. You know how to reach me. So thank you. Have a great day.